Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be making chuck roast beef. I do want to apologize for all the snoring that you might hear. My husband's currently sleeping and this is the only time that I have to film. But you're here to see how I make my chuck roast beef. Actually, this is the first time I'm ever making something like this. I was scrolling on TikTok because I just got those two little babies back there and I was trying to find something that I could make on my 2-quart size. They're small 2-quart size slow cookers. They're from the Drew Barrymore collection. Beautiful. And I literally have all of her collection. I have the blender, I have the toaster, the air fryer, and the griddle. And so 10 out of 10 I recommend. But I was scrolling through TikTok and I found this specific recipe that it looks simple, it looked easy, and if I can make it, you can make it. So make sure that you stay throughout the entire video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm super excited to start my 2025 YouTube journey. Bye guys.
Let's get started on the recipe. I'm using the beef chuck roast to make my chuck roast beef. The only reason that I'm cutting them into small portions, as you guys can tell, my crock pot are very small. They're only 2-quart size. If you have a crock pot that is way bigger, please skip this step. You don't have to do it. But if you're using the beautiful collection like I am, in the 2-quart size crock pots, you do have to cut them into smaller pieces. That way everything fits and it can cook thoroughly. These are the seasonings that I'm using. It's just a bunch of garlic and salt and different herbs. I'm also using the Kinder's buttery garlic and herbs. This is my favorite seasoning by far to use. But again, this is a part where you can add any type of seasoning. I always use the 100% pure avocado oil. I used to use olive oil, but I made the switch to avocado. It's healthier, I recommend. I'm adding garlic. You don't have to do this if you already seasoned your meat, but I still wanted for the meat to be really seasoned, as it's going to be in the crock pot for about 4 to 5 hours. I just kept on looking at it, kept on moving it around, just make sure that everything is cooked thoroughly. And so once again, the first thing that I do before putting it on the crock pot, I do cook it on a pot for a little bit. Again, you can skip this option, but I did want it to be fully cooked from the outside before I switched it over to the crock pot, and it'll sit there, like I said, for about 4 to 5 hours. These are all the ingredients that you're going to be adding to your crock pot once the meat is cooked. We're using butter, ranch seasoning, and the Instant Pot McCormick Mississippi roast. I saw this on all the different roast beef that I saved, and it's pretty good. I'm also using the H-E-B brand beef broth. You don't have to use the beef broth. You can just use regular water. But again, I'm just trying to keep all those flavors intact and for it to taste as good as it can be. They added beef broth, and so I'm adding beef broth. You're going to go ahead and place all of your meat into the crock pot. Like I said, I'm using the 2-quart size slow cookers, so I had to do half and half. So that ranch, half is going to go into one pot, the other half is going to go into the other crock pot. Same thing with this seasoning, the Mississippi seasoning. We're going to do half on one and then half on another one. I did the same thing with the butter. I split the butter in half, one to one crock pot, and then the other one on the other crock pot. So now we're going to move on to my second crock pot. I'm doing the same steps that I did to the first one. I do want to say that if you're adding water instead of beef broth, I'm not really sure how that's going to taste. I decided to just make it as beefy as it can be. If you think it's going to be too beefy, I just want to let you know that it's not. The flavor was there and it tastes really good. So here I'm adding the other rest of the meat using the half of the other ranch, and then I'm just adding the other portion of the Mississippi seasoning. So after letting it sit for about 3 hours, I went back and just mixed it around. I do want to say that this took about 4 to 5 hours to cook, only because I had a lot of things going out throughout the day. So at home, it'll be on high. If I had to leave at any time, it will go back to low. And so I did that a couple of times. So I do want to say that that's why it took longer. The lady that I follow her recipe, she had a bigger crock pot and hers took about 8 hours. A lot of individuals do like to do this type of meals throughout the night. I decided to do it right like as soon as I woke up. Well, not as soon as I woke up. I want to say around 10 or 11, I started the crock pot and I left it there. So by the time that my daughter came home from school, it was already done and ready to go. This is optional, but I do recommend adding any type of veggies that you want. What I'm adding is just carrots and potatoes. Around the 3 hour mark is when I added my veggies. I make sure that the meat looked like it was almost fully cooked before I added the veggies. The reason that I waited so long to add it is because I'm adding small potatoes and I didn't want them to be super mushy. I did it way at the end, almost until like the meat was fully done. Again, it's optional to add veggies, but I definitely recommend for you to add some type of veggies. And the other recipes that I watched, they were adding pepperoncinis. I think that's what you say or how you say it. But I didn't add them. Maybe next time I'll sure add them to see what was the difference. For my sides, I'm just doing the creamy butter. Yes, I know it's not homemade, but this just cuts the time because I was running a little late to go pick up my daughter. And so now we're going to move on to my second side. We're just doing a simple green bean. I'm adding my avocado oil. For the green beans, I'm just going to roast them. And then I'm adding butter and garlic salt. I had a little bit of that ranch left over, so I added a little bit on the green beans. And this is how my chuck roast beef looks after 4 hours. 10 out of 10, I recommend. It is so delicious. It was pretty simple. The only reason it was simple because once you add all the ingredients, you just let it sit there and you go on about your day. There's my green beans and then my mashed potatoes. For my first time cooking chuck roast beef, I think I did pretty good. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For the next video, I'm going to be making sopa toscana and I'm going to show y'all how I do sopa toscana.